Winnie was an incredible and remarkable human being. Despite her privileges, really, she could have lived anywhere, in Johannesburg, for example, or Cape Town, or that kind of stuff. But you know, she actually stayed in Soweto, the southwestern township of Johannesburg. And I remember, frankly, being humbled, paying a courtesy call at her residence in Orlando, the part of Soweto, in 2009, and had lunch in her restaurant, actually, in Soweto, which is next to the original house of Mandela, which is now a museum. You can't believe she still, stayed with her people.
Right.
Ordinary people.
Right.
What kind of lessons do you learn from that?
It's the commitment she had to our people was what really drove her into activism to begin with. And we got to keep in mind that she spent a lot more time with the people of South Africa, much more than her husband did while he was in prison. And so she lived the era and felt the suffering of the people, felt the struggle that the people were going through. And so it embodied her, who she was. So when you mention Soweto, Soweto is an icon of the struggle. I mean, a lot of what we've read about the struggle, Soweto always was mentioned. You know, the struggle of apartheid in South Africa cannot be completed without the mentioning of Soweto. So that wasn't a surprise at all when she decided to live there. And she always wanted to be with her people. And when you lead people in a struggle and you succeed, it's time to still stay with them. You know, you've seen instances where people go away and then they lose touch of what really started the whole struggle, and they lose touch of what the issues were, what the feelings were, who was affected. She always remained there with the people, and she understood it. And that's probably where her frustration was coming from, because she wanted to see the change so fast. And we got to keep in mind that apartheid lasted for a very long time. So the indifferences that took place during that period, and to just overturn that overnight, it's not gonna happen. It's a gradual process, and I think Mandela understood that much more than she did, because of how she lived it and the hopes of South Africans. And a lot of people were hoping that it's going to change overnight. And then, like Mohammed said, freedom comes, political freedom comes, and then economic empowerment comes. And there's no easy answers to some of these questions, like the land issues that are happening now in South Africa. I mean, if you go back in history and look at how it was acquired, and then those that are trying to take it back have a basis for their decision, for what they're asking for. It may appear unreasonable at this point in time, but if you go back in history and really try to deeply understand how it was acquired to the first place, not only the land should come back, maybe there are some other additional compensation that should come with the land. If you look at the intrinsic value of what has been gone for so long. But I'm not saying it's an overnight decision. It's a very difficult decision for the people of South Africa, and they got to keep in mind that South Africa now is both for blacks and white, and those who have been living on this land, by extension now, are all part of South Africa, and they all own it. So the process of having an equitable distribution of that should be one that doesn't affect one group against the other.